Okay, so let me open that project. Yeah, so this was our project which we did last time, and if you can see in the middle layers, I have no input dimension, only dense is there. And in dropout, I did not use the shape, input shape. Okay, so it's not required. It will by default take whatever is there. Okay, so now what we will do is we will actually implement a classification model uh, that is very famous one we will use. Um, Peters internet is very slow.
This is that Sepal Setosa that.
Yeah. That's a very common data set. It's like the hello world of machine learning. Internet is also very slow. No, this is something different. Yeah. Hmm. Okay, so we have the iris flower.csv dataset now. Okay, so let us do some coding. So now we have a proper dataset. So let us import pandas. Now obviously panda is not there. So what we have to do? We have to add it into the requirements. Take the latest version of pandas. Okay, and we'll install this requirement. So while gets pandas gets installed, so we'll do here. So pandas is present. So now what we will do is we will first read the data. So that is our first step of reading the data and checking the data. How is the data? What is the data? So this is a CSV file. As you can see, the extension is a CSV file. So it is mostly a comma separated values. So it is a tabular data structure. So I can create a data frame and I can read it directly from the data frame. Read CSV. I can read CSV file path. I can give here iris flower .csv. Okay, then let us check what is there in this CSV. So we'll run it. So this message shows that it's CUDA DLL it could not found. CUDA is the GPU driver model library file. So I have not yet configured this system. This system is a GPU system. This is my personal desktop. This is a GPU system, and I have not yet configured it for GPU work, but I can do it. So once we will do that practice also, how to code in GPU. Okay, so this is what we are.
Vishwa, one quick question. If we do not have the system, can we not do it on Google Colab or on our normal laptops?
You can do it.
Okay.
On normal laptop, you won't have the GPU. You will may have only the CPU. But some high-end laptops do have GPU, but I doubt that we will have some laptops which will have the GPUs in our.
Yeah. No office laptop, just CPU.
Yeah. Normally it is CPU only, because GPU is the size, the graphical processing unit, that machine itself is parts itself is very big size, so it will not fit in a laptop.
Okay.
Okay. So now
even iMac also does not have a GPU.
No.
MacBook.
So now let us observe the data. So we have sepal length, we have sepal width, we have petal length, and we have petal width. So sepal is a part of the flower, and petal is also part of the flower. So we have 4 parameters which determines which type of flower is it. Iris setosa, or iris versicolor, or iris virginica, or that's it. Yeah. So 3 types of flowers are there, and for each of these 3 flowers we have 4 parameters given to us. Okay, so that means we are trying to who can tell me what are we trying to do here? What kind of model is this? It's a classification model. Okay, so we have multiple classes here. So this is a simple classification model. Okay, so that means what? In future, tomorrow, if somebody gives us a random sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, we should be able to predict the correct class of that flower using those 4 information, right? So that is our goal. Okay, so now after looking into this, Imran, tell me what should be the architecture of my neural network? What should be the value of input dimension?
Input dimension in the sense the input weights you're saying?
What will be the now input dimension is 60, right? What should I write in here in this place?
Four, I guess.
4.
Yes. Because we have 4 inputs, right? We have 4 features. So input dimension is the number of features that you have for a particular model. Okay. Now from 4, so we'll parallelly open this also. Okay, so we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Okay, now from here, one more thing we know is that at the other end of the model, how many neurons should be there? So this is the input layer. This is the output layer. How many neurons will be here?
We need to have single output here, right? Only determining the class.
No. How many classes are there? Three classes.
Three classes are.
So we will have 3 neurons here. Okay. You tell me, can you represent 3 numbers uniquely by a single binary, single bit of information? By a single
No,
bit
it will
of
be 0 and
information,
1.
No.
you
we
can
need
have
to-
either 0 or 1. Okay. But if you have to have 3 different informations, then you have to have like this: 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. Right? This way you can have it. When this configuration is the output, then what do we say? This is, let's say, the first one, iris whatever x. This is for the second class y, and this is for the third class f z. Okay, so we are sure about our input and output dimensions. Now within this one, we can have as many number of hidden layers what we want. Okay, but now question is, how many hidden layers should we have? What was the dimension of our data? What was the dimension of our data? Let us see. 150 by 5. So there are 150 records. Total 150 records we have. We have 150 records, right? So 150 records means data is very small. Okay, we have very less amount of data. 150 records is not enough data, right? So if we do a very big and huge model, then it will be a overkill. It will be a overkill. So which we don't want, right? So what we want a very simple and small model. Okay. So an idea is, if we have 4 here, it's best we take 10 and 10 here, and then 3 here. That is enough. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so best is 10 10 we take here. Okay, so here it will be 10, and here it will be another 10. Okay, so we don't need this. Very simple model, and this is output is 3, right? And this is softmax. Okay, so this is our model, and this is categorical cross entropy. Okay, so our model is defined, our data is ready. Okay, now we have to train our model. Okay, we have to train our model. So how do we train our model? And we also have to test our model. We have to also test our model. So how do we do that? So for that, let us go and open the K-fold cross validation. If you remember K-fold cross validation, do you remember, guys?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You see one thing that I also don't remember all the code and command here, right? You see that I also do it by Googling things, and that is perfectly fine because
Vishwa, your voice is breaking up.
oh, sorry.
Yes,
Today
Biswa, your voice is.
internet is very because of the rain. I think the internet is little dicey. How is it now?
Now it's better. Yeah.
Okay. Because of the rain, I think there is a little problem.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that you can see that I am also not very much remembering the codes, everything, how to use kfold and all that, right? I am also using Google search, but I know what to search, how to search, what to use, where to use, all those things I know. But I don't know, I don't memorize exactly the commands or the syntax or the code, right? So that is fine. So for your case also, that is fine. So you don't have to do that. Yeah. So here it is given an example. We have a data frame. He has created a data frame, random data frame. And what he has done is he is creating a k-fold, number of split 5, shuffle 2, random state 2. And he is applying this k-fold on the data frame. So we will also do the same thing. So for k-fold, we have to import sklearn. So slowly our project is growing. Now sklearn is not there, so we have to figure out sklearn. Okay. So we are installing sklearn. Once sklearn is installed, we will have kfold kf. Okay. Now let's go there. Next, let's see how he is doing. So he's using this result. Next, kf dot a random split. Okay, a random split is done. Result. From this result, from the data frame, I am taking the training data and the testing data. Okay, let us debug this here, then you will understand. So I read the data frame. I made a k-fold variable where I'm telling that number of splits should be 5 and there should be a shuffling in between the splits. So I'm getting a random split. I'm getting a random split, and in this split, I'm getting 2 splits. One is 120 and one is 30. And here I have given the data frame DFC. So total 150 data were there, right? You remember 150 records were there. So the shape of the data frame, if you see 150 by 5. So total 150 records were there. Out of those 150 records, I took 120 as training data and 30 as testing data. Now, how did I select 120 data? I selected by the help of k-fold. I selected by the help of k-fold. So that's why you see 1, 4, 0, 1, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14. So there is no order, it is random. Okay. So random, whichever split came in whichever to whichever situation. That's it. That is the way it is divided. Now I take training data and I take testing data. So if I see training data, I have this much training data and I have this much testing data. Okay. So some training data and some testing data. So we have created training data and testing data. Very good. Now, now we have to check one more thing is there, is that these are all what? These are all numerical numbers, right? Now, 6.7 is 7.2 is a big number in comparison to 0.2. In comparison to 0.2, 7.2 is a.
So we need to scale them.
Yes, we need to scale them from a range of 0 to 1. We need to normalize them. Okay, so that one we will do. Okay, and one more thing we have to do is we have to convert this class into a one-hot encoded vector. One-hot encoded vector. Okay, how we will do that? So we'll do that in this way. If you see here, iris setosa, iris versicolor, and iris virginica. Okay. So, what we can do is, so what will happen is we give 4 inputs and a probability distribution will come. How it will come? This output will come as like this: 0.233, 0.170, then 0.699, like this will come. Okay, so softmax will do this. When you add all these 3, you will get 1.0. That means the 100% probability. So it will do like this. Now, what this means that whichever is the maximum is 1 and the remainings are 0. Now, this is my predicted data. And these are my actual data. So I can find the difference, right? So this is the vector 0, 0, 1 vector is what is predicted. If the actual vector is 1, 0, 0, that means there is an error. How much is the error? This much subtracted by this much whole square. If I was using least sum of squares, but I'm not using least sum of squares, I'm using categorical cross entropy. There is a different math for that, but you get the idea. So I get the error, and that error is taken and propagated back in the feedback network using the differentiation law. That is how the learning happens, right? So here I will get what I'll get. I'll get a probability distributed output. 3 probabilities I'll get whose sum will be 1. Okay, and that one will be compared with the actual one. Okay, that one will be compared with the actual one. But problem here is that our class is a string. Iris setosa is a string. It is not a probability distribution. So how can this output be compared with this? It can't be compared with this, right? So that's why we need to convert this class into a one-hot encoding vector. Okay, I have to convert this into a one-hot encoding vector. I'll show you what it means. Convert column into one hot encoding. We can do it by writing a code also, or we can do it by writing using existing functions also. I am trying to do it using an existing function. You'll see the output and then you will understand what I want to say. Label binarizer. So we will use a label binarizer. And then we will label binarize what? We label binarize class. df, the column class is equal to label binarize df dot class. I can use this one. Okay, you will understand what I'm trying to do here. See, first we read this data frame. This is like this, we know. Now I did label binarization. What does it mean? See, this got a class called 1. This got a class called 0. Why 2 only? No, I'm looking at df, right? There are 3 classes, right? Oh, binarizer, that's why. Okay. I don't. Okay, one hot encoder. I have to use one hot encoder, not label binarizer. Then sometimes my system is hanging away. I don't know. One hot encoder, very good. And one hot encoder with transform X. X is df. Oh, no. Expected to the array got 1 D array instead. Like this, just do while. Every dimension is 1. It supports multi-column data in previous class. No, I did label binarizer only. Just give me some time. Okay, that's why it did like this. Okay, okay. So you see here, 100 is one class, 010 is another class, 001 is another class. Okay, this is what we need, right? So what we do here is we have to convert this into a list. So df class is equal to a list comprehension you have to do, and in that list comprehension we have to create a for y in y's, okay, and here we have to do y0, comma y1. I'll explain you what I'm doing this. So what I'm doing here is I am iterating the y, whatever I got here, and getting one y. Each y I am then taking and creating a list like this. So I'm creating a probability one hot encoded binary like this. Okay, so we'll see the output, you'll see, understand the output. So if you see now df, you see the class is 100, then 010, then 001. Okay, so we have converted successfully we have converted the string into a one hot encoded format. Okay, this is very important you understand this. Okay, we have, because our output from the machine learning model, deep learning model, is going to be a probability distribution like I showed here, right? It's going to be a probability distribution. I cannot compare this with a string, right? But I can compare this with an array, 001 like this. So
Vishwa, one quick question. Why did we change into that array, the class one? Normally, it should be like, a class Iris Setosa, Iris Virginica, and the other one, third one, right? What is the benefit of combining them into this one?
This is, see, what is the shape of my model here? 3. What will I get here? What does softmax function do? Softmax function distributes that 100% probability into whatever is the number here. So in here there are 3. So you give 4 inputs. You give a particular sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width. After running through these models, what will happen? You will get some values here. Let's say this is 0.1, this is 0.2, and this is 0.7. Okay, you will get 3 floating values here.
Okay.
If you add this, how much it is coming? 1.0. So that is the function of softmax. Softmax distributes the total probability of 1.0 into whatever with the number of variables given. If it was 5, then total 5 variables it will be distributed. Here it is 3, that's why 3. Now this output, what is the shape of this output coming out of the model? It is like 0.1, 0.2, and 0.7, isn't it? Right? It is coming as an array like this. Now, can I compare this array with the string Iris Setosa or Iris Virginia? I cannot, right?
No.
How do I calculate the error? How do I calculate the error, and how do I distribute that error within the model as a back propagation? So I have to convert my actual labels also into something like this. So that technique is called one-hot encoding. You see, I have converted the text class into a one-hot encoded vector.
No, Vishwa, that portion I understood why we converted because it was a categorical to numerical. That one I got it. My question was like, this class would have been, now it is in a list format. Normally it would have been in another three columns would have been added, right? Like instead of 100 in a single column, it would be three columns.
No.
0.
I have to suppose I have to compare the output with this. So when I do model.fit, okay, when I do model.fit in SGD, I will get I'll input 5.1, 3.5, 1.4, 0.2, and I will get, say, this one I'll get. Okay. Now this one,
Okay.
this one is what I will get. After getting this one, I have to calculate the error, right? I have to calculate the error. And how can I subtract a vector from a scalar? I can't, right? I have to subtract a vector from a vector of equal dimension. What is the dimension of this vector? 3 cross 1?
Yes.
So I have to subtract this vector 0.1, 0.2, and 0.7 from another vector of similar size. Which I have made as 1, 0, 0.
Oh, okay.
And then we take the whole square as the sum of least squares. And
Got
then
it,
we
yeah.
differentiate this one with respect to the weight.
Weights, and then from the
Do the backward
original weight,
propagation.
yeah, we might negate it. Okay.
Okay, so that is the main trick here. So that's why we converted this class into a one-hot encoded vector. Now we have the power that we can, so now things becomes easy. So I get a training data, I get testing data, I have my model. Okay, now I just have to do a m.fit. What I have to give? X. X is X is so I have to get these 4 rows from here. So how will I get the 4 rows from here? Just a minute. Get only first 10 columns. Get first in columns. No, not in columns. Only in columns.
First, we'll drop that classification class column, and then X and Y are bifurcated. Then we can further split it, right?
Yeah. But I was looking to first. I have. I can get that one done in one step. Get n columns. iloc. Select first n columns. Let's see what is this giving. Yes, iloc. Four. So X. Okay, yeah, I got it. I got it. Now I have to drop the columns. That's it. So I have to do it from train, right? Train. Convert. Hmm. To NumPy. Df.values. Y is equal to train class okay, so this is our X. Very nice. And this is our Y. Very nice. Now let us fit the model. So m dot fit X, comma, Y. Equals okay, some error. Fail to convert NumPy array to a tensor. Unsupported object type list. Okay, so this is list. That's right. NP. Same problem. Acha. Fail to convert NumPy array to a tensor. Unsupported object type NumPy ND array. ND array. Why? Why? Oh, What I have to do is okay, so I can directly use YS actually. I can skip directly use YS as Y. No, still problem. Data cardinality is ambiguous. Oh, okay. This is 150. So that is the problem. You guys are getting right what is happening?
Vishwa, the error is different. Never seen them.
Okay. So it's simple, right? See, X is how much? What is the size of cardinality of X? What is cardinality means? The number of items, right? We did a k-fold cross valid k-fold splitting of the total data, and we got X as 120, right? And Y as 30. Remember?
Yes, yes.
Now I am using directly YS as the Y, because I saw that this is already the binary part is there. So why to use it separately? But this is how many data are there? 150. Because I am doing it
Okay.
this level. I am doing it before the k-fold validation. I have done
Was
the
applied, yeah, 150, yeah.
yeah. So now this is 120 and this is 150. So this is not a match, right? So X size is 120, Y size is
Okay.
150. That's why the error.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the reason. The question is, I can do this like this. And then like this. Same error. Unsupported type. What to do? 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 One-hot encoding. Transform. I got the one-hot encoding. This y is,
Which are first we do the split, then we call the k-fold.
first we do the split, then we call the k-fold. That makes, I mean, first we do the k-fold and then we do the binarization. That means what you say, right?
No, no,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is first the train test split can be done,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will use k-fold so that this mismatch of the data will not be there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So that means this part goes above this, and then we have train minus plus x. What's this? Let's first concentrate on training. This one testing will look later. So train. Okay. So we got a 34% accuracy. Okay. And this was our model, right?
Mhm.
First 10 hidden parameters, 10 hidden parameters, and then 3 hidden parameters, right? So yeah, so that is what we wanted, but we wanted more number of epochs. Epochs is equal to 20. Let's do it for multiple times. So after 20 epochs, it is 93% accurate. So it is 93.
So, like one forward propagation, one backward propagation is epoch. First time it came 35, which means it was not completely converged.
No, then it's 65, then 65.83, 78.33. Slowly,
Okay.
the gradient descent is happening.
Okay.
Okay. So this is our fit data.
So, Vishwa, here we said epoch is 20, right? Is there a way that we can automate it that till this thing comes, the epoch will go on? I'm coming from the background where KNN, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many neighbors to be chosen, right? So similarly, something is present over here.
Yeah, you, as I see you see I gave 20 epochs. You can give 30 epochs also. If you are achieving that much accuracy in 20 epochs, then you don't need to unnecessarily give 50 epochs, right? You understand?
Okay. So this is what we have to manually.
there is one more early stopping. That is called early. What is that called? That in fit we have that method. I'll tell you. There are multiple callbacks. In this callback, one callback is once you reach this much accuracy, automatically stop. Okay, so that is also there.
So and now in that case, what accuracy level will we select?
We'll select something 90% accuracy, something we can select like stop at accuracy. Errors more early, huh? Early stopping. This is called early stopping. So you can use a callback called early stopping. Okay. So here you can give how much accuracy you want the model to be, the loss should be minimum, and the patience is like it tells various parameters like just like this. Early stopping in Keras. Keras supports the early stopping of training via a callback called early stopping. So callback is this one. So this one is your callback function. Here you will give the callback function. The early stopping is configured when instantiated by arguments. The monitor allows you to specify the performance measure to monitor in order to end training. Recall from the previous section that the calculation of measures on the validation dataset are val_prefix. So you have to give this one. Based on the choice of performance mode, the mode argument will need to be specified as whether the objective to be chosen metric is to increase or to decrease. For example, we would seek a minimum for validation loss and a minimum for validation's mean squared error, whereas we would seek a maximum for validation accuracy. So if you are checking for loss, then your thing should be minimum. If you are checking for not accuracy, then it should
Accuracy,
be maximum.
Mhm.
And then patience is also there. Patience is how many times you will repeat it. That means patience, this patience.
Patience is something which is equal to the epochs.
No. Patience. Okay. We can account for this by adding it. Often the first sign of no further improvement may not be the best time to stop training. This is because the model may coast into a plateau of no improvement or even get slightly worse before getting much better. We can account for this by adding a delay to the trigger in terms of the number of epochs on which we would like to see no improvement. This can be done by setting the patience argument. That means
Oh,
if
got it. Before the actual epochs are taken into account, these many 50 rounds, we just ignore it. And from then
yes,
51st onwards, we take into account. Okay.
no. It is different. What it is that suppose you are at accuracy 93. Okay. Now 93 first epoch number 20 is I 93. Epoch number 21 is 93. Epoch number 22 is 93. Epoch number 24 is 93. So like this, 50 times.
How many epochs? Okay.
50 times if the accuracy is not changing. Okay.
Okay.
Then you confirm that you have actually converged and reached the bottom of the curve, the
Okay.
global
Minima.
minima.
Okay.
Global minima.
Mhm.
So then
Understood.
you return from the training function.
So this is a threshold till the time we will go on doing the epoch. And once this is breached, which means there is no further,
Right.
we cannot adjust any weights or anything to come to any.
Right.
Like, the minima is like at the base. It doesn't change anymore.
Right.
Okay. So some sort of a loop function. Okay.
Yes. So you another one callback is checkpoint. Checkpoint means if you reach this accuracy, then save a model as a snapshot and continue training.
Acha, versioning. Yes.
Like best model .h5. So if you are reaching a checkpoint of monitor value loss is minimum, then save this model, but don't stop training, continue it. Okay, like here you see
Okay.
more modes are there. Save best only, true. So there are various types of callbacks like this. You can find out many types of callbacks which are really helpful for coding. We will go through them when we do our practical exercise. but I'm just, since you asked the question, I'm just showing some callbacks. So there are early
Okay.
stopping callback, then checkpoint callback, so many callbacks are there. And now let us check our, this is our training data. Okay, now let's check our testing data. Okay, so X train, Y train. Now let us do the Y test. And similarly, let's do our X test. So once we have trained our model, we want to evaluate our model on X test, Y test. And this summary we can remove. And this one we can make it verbose. Oh, 100% accurate. So this is like overfitting, some problem is there. So we got, you see here, so training accuracy, we got 96%, and validation accuracy, we got 1, means 100%. So all the things were correctly identified. Now let's do one thing, is that we will take some values, say we need 4 inputs, right? So we have to predict m dot predict. So this is evaluation. Evaluation is different from prediction. Evaluation is you are evaluating on test data, how good your data model is. You first trained your data on trained data, then you evaluated your data. Now you are using your data, so to test, to predict. So let us take a sample data like this. Okay, and say X is equal to this one. This is the input data. X. And this is our Y. And let us see our, what is the output.
Here make a line of yellow. Make a line of yellow.
Oh. Okay. So I have
What
to,
did it give?
the shape is different. I have given directly a list. It should be a shape value of n dimensional expected axis input shape, but have 4 to have 4, but received input shape 1. PRA.
What happened? What happened? The glory of the river.
If you see X test, what is the dimension? 34. What is the dimension of X? 40. Oh, so that is the problem. 4 none. I have to make it Yep. Comma 4. What happened? Shape is invalid keyword. For this function. Shape is there, no? Shape is. Okay, so now x is 1,4. So this will work. Yeah. So let us see. Y is here 0.5, 0.1, 0.2, 0.2. So which is higher? 0.
0.5.
So that means 1, 0, 0, right? And we took the
1,
example.
0, okay.
This is highest, right? Max. So 1.
Mhm.
And these two are considered as 0, 0. Soft max. That's why it's called soft max.
Okay.
So we took it from here, right? The example. And iris setosa is what? Encoded as 100.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have got the correct output. So the prediction is correct. Now I can randomly now give a flower, which I don't know. Let us see what this flower will be.
Some cards, because they might be real like numbers in them. Like numbers in them, some numbers.
So why? This is 0.2 percentage, 34%, 65%. So it is the last one. It predicted it as Iris virginica. Okay. So I gave a randomly some petal length and sepal length, and it predicted as virginica. Now you know, right? So we have a model and we have data which is completely different, and then we can have a different output. We can have an output we never knew about it. Right? Okay, so I will share this code with you guys. Okay. So just copy paste within your.
Vishwa, one quick thing. This interface you are using, right? I'm normally using Jupyter Notebook. Which one is this interface?
This is PyCharm.
PyCharm. Okay.
Okay, so copy paste the code and keep it with yourself, and play around with this code. You can do more types of things if you want. So this is your first Hello World multi-class classification deep neural network model. Okay, so you understood how the concepts of how to convert the classes into by Unicodes into one hot encodings, and how softmax function works with one hot encoding, how the loss function is calculated, how it is propagated, how training happens, how you can do early stopping, how evaluation happens, and how prediction happens. Okay. Yes. So it is all about the game of if you understand NumPy array shapes and sizes properly, you will be very easily doing things. Okay. If you're confused in NumPy shape, like if it is telling that shape is 4,5, and you are not able to make out that there are 4 rows and 5 columns, then you are in trouble.
Okay.
So you have to be more confident on the shapes and sizes of images of NumPy arrays. So if you are strong in that, then you will automatically become strong in this also.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Imran, everything fine? Cool?
Yeah, Biswa. Just we need to say understand the steps. Okay.
Yeah. So small,
We need to
such a
realize
small.
the steps, how the thing is happening.
So
Yeah.
only
Once
20
we understand the steps, then it is very simple.
15 lines of code, and it can do a lot of things. So yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, models are very small actually. So I have a project which is having at least 10,000 lines of code, and it has total model is 50 lines of code. So yeah, here also you can see, right? This is the model, and rest everything else is managing the data. And there here also the data was given to us like in a plate, served in us in a plate. But normally this particular step takes 100 or 200 lines of code to get the correct data. Okay, then let's meet tomorrow again. Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
Biswa.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Biswa.
Yeah, bye.